Back to the Toppy Blues, your source for all things Everton. I'm Connor Williams, joined by James Pendleton, and we're doing the Everton Nottingham Forest match reaction review. It was a 1-1 draw. James, give me your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously disappointed we didn't get all 3 points. I think, to be fair, on another day we do get all 3 points, and I thought we deserved it, but we didn't do enough in the final third to sort of get the goal. And the longer it stays 0-0, the longer the other team is still in the game. Forest had very little, but at the end of the day, they carved out a good chance, and that was something we basically didn't do until the 88th minute. So disappointing. It's a game we should have won, and it's the sort of game where another team are 2-3-0 up inside an hour and kind of cruising. But Everton for years haven't been able to do that, and I think yesterday was much of the same. So frustrating, but it's a relief to get a goal, get a point on the board, and just hopefully we can build on this now. But I say ultimately I was frustrated leaving the ground yesterday.
Yeah, it was, like you said, had chances. I didn't think it was going to be a high-scoring affair anyway, just because Nottingham Forest set up well. They'd frustrated West Ham before us. Steve Cooper, I think, thinks he should have won. I mean, looking at it, you could argue we probably deserved it in the last couple of minutes. I think we had the better chances, so I'm not too sure why he's fully come out with that. Coming through their goal, first of all, and I think Jordan Pickford could be doing a little bit better. I saw he got a bit of flack on Twitter for it.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't have much to do all game, did he? And the 2 saves he did were routine, and this wasn't much further than that, to be fair. He's got to be, if he's not keeping it in his grasp, which is maybe a bit harsh, he's got to at least parry it out or parry it to one of his teammates, get out the danger zone, scoop it away, but he's just kind of got 2 hands on it. It's gone straight to Brennan Johnson, and then he's never missing that in a million years, is he? I think, yeah, I would say that it's not being uber critical of him. I think it's just a genuine criticism. He should have done better with their goal, I think. He's been excellent for us for a long time now, and I wouldn't put it down as a massive mistake, but I think, you know, I said I think after maybe the Chelsea game last season, he was one of the best players in the Premier League at that moment in terms of his form over half a dozen games or so. And he was certainly one of, if not the best goalkeeper in the Premier League at that time. But if he wants to be considered amongst the Alissons and the Edersons and the Mendy's, the Llorises, he's got to be doing better with shots like that. I think he's got to be getting it away out the danger zone. Don't get me wrong, he was let down a bit by his defenders. It was poor the way we left Forest in, the way we did, but I think you've got to back your goalkeeper a little bit. If a newly promoted team are taking a shot on from 25 yards, you've got to be able to deal with it, I think.
And like you said, it fell to Brennan Johnson, who we were linked with very, very early on in the summer, and missed out for Forest, which I think you can say about a couple of signings they've made this season. But like you said, he was never missing that. I think it'd be harder to miss it. Obviously, then Jordan Pickford, made up with it for his ball for Damari Gray. Brilliant ball. Talk me through Damari Gray's goal.
Yeah, it was weird, really, because it reminded me of when Tim Howard scored against Bolton. And I remember because we were so bad that night, and he just hit another hopeful ball forward. Me and my dad were just sort of put our head in our hands, and we looked up and he'd scored. And then it was so similar yesterday because he hit this long ball forward, and my dad wasn't even looking because he had put his head in his hands again. And I'm looking at it thinking the wind's keeping us up a little bit here. Their line's not stepped up the way it should have done. And Damari Gray's through and goal, and thinking if he just brings this down, he looked well onside. And to be fair, he did well to finish it because Dean Henderson was really good, I thought, in terms of his shit house, his commanding, his saves. He had a good performance yesterday. So Damari Gray did well, kept his composure, slotted the ball. And, you know, at the end of the day, we got the goal that I think we did deserve at the very least. And obviously, I think it was kind of only him and Patterson celebrating, really. Everyone else wanted to get back and get another. So, but I thought it was a good goal. Well played, Damari Gray. Had a good game, I thought, to be fair. He's not done much so far this season, but he has got that something special about him. I think he has got that bit of quality, that bit of class when you need him to. And it was a good goal from him. And obviously, hopefully, that kind of suicide front three we ended the game with, at least it's finally sort of bore a bit of fruit for a change. So it was a good goal from him. It was a good ball from Pickford. I didn't actually know who kicked it, to be fair, until I got home. I thought it was one of the centre-backs. I had no idea it was Pickford, to be fair. But yeah, and obviously a lot of people who'd already left the game by then, they wouldn't have known it was Pickford obviously either. But yeah, good goal, and I was really pleased that obviously we got at least a point from it.
Yeah, I must agree. I thought when Gray was running down, I thought for a minute he was going to take an extra touch to go around the keeper, um, and I'm so glad he just slotted it because I mean, to be fair, looking at it, there's always the chance Henderson clips him and it's a penalty. But I just thought, don't take the chance. The celebration, yeah, interesting. I get obviously last minute, pretty much the last 2 minutes of the game, but that one caused a bit of a stir as well. Celebrating when many fans are saying, just grab the ball, run it back to the halfway line, go again. Especially when towards the end we were piling the pressure. Yeah, what were your thoughts on that? Was it frustrating for you?
To be fair, I was just made up. I wasn't really thinking about it, to be fair, but I got the point. I don't know. I never really know how much of a difference it makes because kind of like we only kick off when the other team want to kick off, and they were taking the piss for the last 10 minutes anyway, weren't they? So, as you would if you're away from home and you look like you can see out a point or at that point a win, obviously. So, I don't know. I wouldn't say it frustrates me at the time, but I can understand why people thought that. But as I say, they were literally the only two players celebrating. So the other nine were back ready to kick off. But I say it was up to Forest really when the game restarted, and I think they would have taken a bit longer. So I don't think it would have made a massive difference. But I understand what people were saying.
The other big talking point on social media and stuff was the substitutions. Many thinking that Tom Davis coming off wasn't the right one. We looked a bit better when he was on, and similar with Rondon coming off, just because although it's Rondon and we were speaking before about him, he was still a focal point a little bit at least. Can hold the ball up at his feet well with his strength. What were your thoughts on the substitutions?
I think with Tom Davis coming off, I agree that kind of had an impact on the tempo. Not just because Davis went off, because Onana came on and he didn't play well really when he came on. I think we all know that. I saw someone tweeting yesterday saying like, unpopular opinion this, but Onana was shite when he came on, and I was like, I wouldn't say it was unpopular. I'd say that was just factual. And it's like this idea that people were really excited to see him, but it frustrated me because on the way to the match, you see that he's not playing and everyone's up in arms with it and saying, I can't believe it's Davis and I can't believe it's not Onana. And I'm thinking, if he was ready to start, either fitness wise or ability wise, he would start. But, obviously, I think both of those reasons, I think the fitness was one of them. But I think you saw he's so raw still, and that's fine. He's 20, he just turned 21 now. He's come to a new country and stuff. So and he's very eager to impress. We saw it against Villa, and he did impress against Villa, but obviously after making a bit of an error as well. So it's one of them. But I don't think it was necessarily because Onana came on, but the fact that Davis was having a decent game and just kept it ticking over. We lost a bit of that when Onana came on. Within 60 seconds, 70 seconds, he's booked. Within 3 minutes, he's fouled another player, and you're thinking, Jesus, tonight, one more foul and he's off. And he lost all sort of, not the way I'm looking for it, but he lost kind of all his character after he got booked. You could just tell you what he didn't want the ball when he got it. He didn't want to lose it again. And because he knew he couldn't bring someone down if he did, he seemed to play high risk football and high risk, high reward, and that's fine. But yeah, it frustrates me a little bit. In terms of Rondon coming off, it's one of them. As you say, we were saying before, he did a few nice things. Having that focal point helped as well. He'll pin back their centre backs, and that we were getting shots away from distance. But and offsets a load of stuff of just being lazy, not getting back in terms of getting in line with their defence. I can't remember how many times he's caught offside. So it's one of them. He can't really win, I suppose. But I think if Lampard could do it again, I think he'd probably keep those two on for another 10 minutes and see how we got on then. I think he pushed the panic button a little bit too soon. But I think in fairness to him, the fans were very eager to see Onana and they were very disappointed that he wasn't playing. So I think if anyone was, before the game was saying, I can't believe he's not playing, and then they're angry at him getting subbed on, I think you kind of have to factor that in a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's an absolutely fair point. Obviously, it's the second time we've seen him, but it was the first time we got to see Connor Cody in an Everton top. Give me thoughts on how you thought Cody did first full match debut as well for Cody.
Yeah, I thought he was fine. Yeah, to be fair, he was better than Tarkowski, who had a couple of really rough moments in the first half. But yeah, I thought he was fine. Made some good blocks, a couple of good challenges. some good passing. He's a leader. You can tell he wants the ball. He wants to dictate play a little bit. I thought he was fine. I do think the role of a centre back in a back three is normally, I don't want to say easy, obviously for Premier League football, but I think it's probably of all the players on the pitch, he probably has the easiest job. If you've got the ability to pass and spray the ball, if you've got the vocals, I thought he played fine. Yeah, I thought he was all right, and probably the best of the back three or the back five, along with Mason Holloway. Also thought had a decent game, but yeah, no, I thought he was fine, and I think it'll be a good signing for us.
Yeah, like you said, leader as well, constantly shouting and sort of trying to rally them up. Interestingly enough, I did see somebody say the other day, could argue last season, throwing a goal down, could have gone on to lose that, but showed some fight, really pushed towards the end to get the equaliser. A lot of people were very quick to mention that there is some improvement there from us in terms of the sort of response. Do you see that already? The sort of willingness to want to come back?
Yeah, I mean, I was saying this yesterday because I was at West Ham last season. We conceded and we didn't have a sniff after conceding. We barely had a sniff before conceding that day. I was at the game against Wolves where it was exactly the same. We did barely anything all game. We then conceded, funnily enough, to Cody. We then got a man sent off and it was just a pathetic performance from there on in. And the same against Villa as well. We conceded, didn't have anything all game and get beat. Leicester was a game where we had a bit more about us and we came back and we equalised. That was obviously under Lampard. So that was a kind of game where we had that sort of fighting spirit to go and get something. But yeah, absolutely. I think that is a positive to take. Obviously, people don't want us to be in this situation again, and I understand that. But it's the same thing as last season. People were crying in saying we're going to be in a relegation battle, kind of doing the fear and the worst, which I understand. But then we were in a relegation battle and everyone was kind of up in arms. But we all we said we knew it, but then it happened and we weren't prepared. And it's the same with this. It's like we all want to turn around, but there's going to be sort of smaller steps to take bigger steps. And at the end of the day, I think we would have lost that game last season, especially under, Rafa Benitez. So it's maybe not a positive, but maybe just a sort of silver lining for the day. We came back, we got a goal, and we should have scored another either before or after that. So, a small positive, I suppose.
Yeah, a lot of people have been mentioned as well. Defensively, we look a little bit more stable. I don't know if that's just because we've got the likes of Tarkowski and Cody, or if we're not playing certain players that I think last year you could argue were probably not up to the standard. The centre back I'm on about, I don't think played this season yet. So is it sort of the fact that we've got two pretty experienced heads at the back now alongside? Or do you think it's now just that the players are adapting to the shape that Lampard wants to play in this 5-3 back?
I think it's a combination, to be fair, because you look at it, it's three new players in the back three, really, in the back five, sorry, because Nathan Patterson's basically a new signing this season. Mikalenko's still fairly new. So it's one of them. I think it's a combination of that. I think the midfield's more balanced. I think you bring Idrissa Gueye into that team, you get even more solids. Especially you put him alongside Iwobi. And as I say, I mean, it's one of them where Tarkowski, I didn't think had a great game. He was the main culprit for one of the only two chances they had in the first half by giving the ball away. But Forest had nothing. In the second half, they had absolutely nothing. They brought on Morgan Gibbs-White, who had a point to prove, and he kind of set up a couple of chances, but they had nothing in the second half up until their goal, realistically. I think the highlights kind of showed that if you watch it back again. But I think that is part of it, and it is good because I think I like Everton team to be stable, and everyone's saying we need to bin off the sort of 5-back, 3-back, whatever you want to call it. But I kind of look at it and I say, look, if we can be solid defensively, which we were today, we were yesterday for the most part, obviously not perfect, of course, but if we can be defensively solid and get that cutting edge in attack, the 5-back, 3-back, whatever you want to call it, it can work because you're getting the best of both worlds. I like seeing an Everton team that is strong enough at the back. Yesterday was still a bit shaky, but obviously the hope will be that will improve as the season goes on and we get more players in. And obviously we improve as a team. That's what we've got to hope for.
Yeah, like you said, defensively we're a lot better, and I don't even think formation necessarily is the reason for the lack of goals. When you look at the stats yesterday, we had 19 shots. I think 8 of them were on target. So you could argue that we're missing a couple of final pieces. One of them being a striker.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a case that no one in that front three's really got the cutting edge. I think Gordon and Gray have both got stuff about them, and they're both going to create and score goals this season if obviously Gordon stays. But when Solomon Rondon's up front, I don't want to criticise him, but I don't think he had a shot on target yesterday. He came close to that swivel of effort he had on the edge of the box, but even then, if that's Dominic Calvert-Lewin, I think he brings that into his feet and he just slides Gordon in, because Gordon, if you look on the replay, he's begging for a pass just inside. I think it was McKenna. Fair play taking the shot, and it's not saying it was a bad option. He did very nearly score, but I just think if we have Calvert-Lewin or Brozier or one of these strikers from France who linked to, it feels like anyone else at this moment in time, we have someone up there who's competent and can do a job and score more than one Premier League goal in a season. It's going to make a big difference for us. We've been toothless for a long time since Romelu Lukaku left. Dominic Calvert-Lewin's come into his own a bit and scored sort of best part of sort of 30, 40 league goals in that time, which is obviously really good for us. But he's injured and we don't want to force him back. He's already come back a bit too quick for my liking in terms of he's already back on the grass, which is, I'm sure the medical staff know better than I do, but it is a worry. And I'm always going to be worried about him because it feels like from being made of stone, it feels like he's made of glass now. So I think if we just had that cutting edge, it would have just made such a massive difference yesterday. And this is why it's so annoying. We've written off 9 points. We would have had at least 4, I think, if we had that cutting edge about us going into the start of the season.
Yeah, I fully understand what you mean with Calvert-Lewin as well, just because of the fact that we did this last season, looking back a little bit too soon, and ends up, I know it's a different injury this time, but we don't want to repeat with the same sort of methods. But like you said, just got to hope different manager, different, staff. Hopefully it's a different outcome this season. Give me your thoughts on the players that impressed you the most from us. Alex Iwobi got lots of plaudits. Seems to be carrying on from last season under Frank Lampard. Seems to revolutionised his career a little bit more, on a comeback. Give me your thoughts on the others that impressed you.
Well, Alex Iwobi was the best player on the pitch, by a country mile. He got quite a harsh booking, I thought, in the first half, which tempered his performance a little bit, but he's just unbelievable. I can't believe it's the same player I've watched at Everton for so long, because he had some good things about him, but he was just never a winger. He couldn't cross a ball. It never felt like he had the energy. It never felt he had the pace. But since he's gone to the centre, he's now a force to be reckoned with in centre mid. And it's getting to a point now where other teams are going to start taking notes of him, I think, and start taking a look at him, because he's got so many desirable attributes about his game now. Because even yesterday, his defensive ability was just excellent. His tackling, his getting back, his running, his marking of space, all the intangibles and the tangibles he's now bringing to this Everton side. It's the biggest and best turnaround I can ever think of for an Everton player. I'm willing to be corrected or proved wrong, but even some players like Fellaini didn't start great. It was just a start. Iwobi was the best part of useless for 2.5, 3 seasons or whatever. It's been unbelievable, as you say, carried on from last year when I saw a couple of these performances and I thought it was a bit of a flash in the pan. I can't see that continuing, but no, he's been brilliant. Thought Mason Holgate played well yesterday. I thought Andy Gordon had some really good bits. I thought Demarai Gray had some really good bits. I didn't really think anyone, other than probably Tarkowski and to a degree Rondon, had anything other than like a 5 or a 6 out of 10. I thought we were okay. It's just we didn't have that striker. We couldn't get that goal. If we go a goal up, the game changes completely. We should have had a couple before half time, but it didn't happen. So I thought overall the team played fine. We were playing against a pretty poor opposition, I must say, who I don't think none of their players really stood out other than Mangala, I thought, at centre mid. But otherwise, I thought they were pretty ordinary, and the kind of team we're going to be in company with, I think, this season, which is obviously a worry. But I thought the team played okay, but Alex Iwobi was the best player on the pitch by a mile.
Just quickly before the time runs out, like you said, that these are be something a bit around maybe us. Do you think we'll do? How do you think we'll do so far? 3 games in, do you think we'll do better than last season or around the same? I personally, I think I said to my dad before, I can see us once we've got a couple of pieces left from the window, maybe 12th to maybe 14th, I could see us being a realistic one.
Yeah, I think it does feel that way. But my worry is that, I've watched Leeds this weekend. They look brilliant. I watched Newcastle today. They look great against the best team in the world, pretty much. I watched a bit of Forest against West Ham, and okay, while they're a bit lucky, it's going to be hard going to the City ground no matter what team you are. I thought they were pretty poor yesterday, but I think they've also signed about 500 players, so it's going to take a while for them to gel. But once they do, they've got a great manager. So Fulham are smashing my expectations. I think they will plateau a bit. I think they will still end up getting relegated, but they've had a much better start than we have. Wolves have been better than I thought they'd be. Palace are carrying on. Look how they're going to progress forward. And it seems like Villa, who look pretty crap, and Bournemouth, they don't look great either. But otherwise, I haven't seen many teams who don't look particularly good. And even though I say that about Villa, they still beat us. So if we get the striker in, and maybe just one more forward, because we're going to have 5 subs this season, aren't we? And Adeli goes as well. I think get a striker and one more forward, and potentially a centre-back. We've got 2 to come back from injury. So I think I'm the same as you. I think if we get a couple more pieces, I think we'll be all right. But you just never know with Everton, do you? It's pointless predicting it, isn't it? So, but I think I'd take 17th and a heartbeat now. But I want us to progress, and I think 14th, 13th, it's attainable. But we've got the ability to do it. Let's just hope we can for a change.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think the next week, just over a week, is very, very important as well. And I hope whoever we go for, we end up getting the first one. Otherwise, we've seen it before where we don't get our first option, and we've seen the decisions that get made at this football club when the plan A goes up the wall. But yeah, that's all we've got time for, though. Thank you for joining me, James. It's been a pleasure to speak to you.
As always.
Don't forget, guys, you can like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already. You can go check out James and the Babbling Blues as well. That'll be in the description, as always. And comment down below your thoughts on the Nottingham Forest Everton game. And I'll see you guys very soon.